Okay, I just broke down some of the kind of the bad coverage of fandom of Left 4 Dead. So let's talk about the good stuff. Boris reminds me that there's a bunch of really good people out there and really cool stuff. And and also we're going to talk about item reuse because it kind of comes together. So, as somebody who makes things and puts them out into the world, I don't do that in a vacuum. I want people to experience them and have fun with them, enjoy them. For Left 4 Dead series, we really did that. And it's fun watching people break that down and kind of go off into detail and kind of really get lost in kind of the layers that exist there. One of the things is we saw this early on with Left 4 Dead, and I'll admit, kind of tripped me up with the Anacrusis because people will be like, oh, there's no story here. There's more story in the Anacrusis than there is in any of the Left 4 Dead episodes or series, but it's layered in one note way in the audio, and you have to play a bunch of times to get it. Because we just had limited resources, where in Left 4 Dead, we layer it in so many different ways. So there's an account called I'm Not Cons on YouTube that really breaks down some of the episodes really, really well. Now, do they get everything right? No. And that's where item reuse kind of comes in. But they get a lot of things right, and they look at it critically, and it's fun. It's fun for me, because I forget some of this stuff. Man, I forget the whole Colonel Sanders stuff. It's good. I remember that day then of... God, I don't even remember who first thought of Colonel Sanders. And then, there's a whole bunch. You ever notice that there's like a cluster of jokes about a concept? It's because somebody in the room made a joke and we all loved it and we all wrote our version of that joke. And so you see that happen a lot. But so their breakdown of them is good. Again, they're going to miss things here and there, but overall, it's really well done and smartly done. Huh. And so that was fun to see. The one thing they really get tripped up on, though, I think, is not really tripped up on, but the thing that trips them up on is item reuse. Because, you'll see the school bus from the valley. There's not a lot of valleys in the swamps. Just saying. And I pointed that out when we were making the video, and when we were making the game. And I got told we don't have the resources to change the texture on the bus, and we're just going to use the same bus. And that's just true. Throughout the game, we use the same bus, or we use the same whatever, right? And we just swap in items, and sometimes you're waiting for them. Like a lot of the swamp materials themselves, like the Spanish moss and stuff, are made by this French couple, that just would pump it out. And when we got it, we put it in, and when we didn't have it, wasn't in there. So that's kind of how the working goes. But with that, you end up reusing stuff. And, you see that in modern games now. People will be like, oh, asset flip. Man, you better be getting stuff from the asset store. You should not be making a ladder. You should not be paying somebody to make a ladder. You should be using those resources to make something way cooler. But it's weird because I'll see people claim things are asset flips, and I'm like, that's not what that means. Again, media literacy. See, I'm trying to be positive and I go negative. But... yeah, so I really enjoy cons breakdowns, and again, it's fun to see that kind of analysis of work you've done. And for me, I'm not smart, and so I look forward to the next thing I'm working on. So the thing I'm working on now is where my headspace is in, and I've gotten the whole thing now. I understand the story, what it's trying to tell exactly, and how to go forward with it. So I'm excited about it and working on it. And so sometimes when I come back then, and they'll talk about their favorite lines from an episode, so I'm like, oh, I totally forgot that. And I could go back and I could remember where we were in the room or in a hotel room, or there are days or nights when recording was the next day and the page was empty. And I would just sit up in a hotel room and write the entire script that night. There was a collection of a lot of notes from everybody, not just me, but it was still having to create that. And so when we start working with more professional actors, they would be like, hey, no. We need a script in advance because we want to deliver it. And I remember working, and understanding that, okay, you're trying to be professional and you're giving this the care I should as well. And so then we would make the deadline 3 days ahead of the recording session. That's when we had to stay up all night and write it all in once. Which sometimes... again, you see streaks of stuff because something cracks you up at 3 a.m. You've been drinking beer, writing a script, and it gets put in the game. It works. Kind of. Oh, and if you're wondering, because I say, listen to this one song all the time while I'm writing, It was what Bang 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 Bang. Mark Ronson was my Left 4 Dead 2 song. Never heard of it before. I was looking for inspiration for Rochelle, and in that song, there's a singer from the Bronx. She didn't work out. She's too hipster cool. But yeah, whatever. That song came on, and then I just listened to that, and I probably listened to that 10,000 times. I don't think I've listened to it since. That's a fine song, but yeah, writing's weird.